There's a mist coming in, like something he's brewing and about to begin. Can't put me finger on what lies in store, but I feel what's happened all happened before. A father, a mother, a daughter, a son. The threads of their lives are all raveling undone. Something is needed to twist them as tight as a string you might use when you're flying a kite. Chim chimani, chim chim, Cher-ee, chim charoo.
Hurry up, Jane! Let's run! Come back here, you little blighters! You've got to do your lesson!
I can't do my lessons if I'm flying a kite, and you can't make us. You're only our nanny!
Not you again. Come on, run now.
Good morning, Bert.
Morning, Miss Lark. And how's little Willoughby today?
Very well, thank you for asking. Ruff, ruff, ruff. Willoughby?
By Jove! Is that the beauteous Miss Lark I spy on the horizon?
Oh, Admiral. Ruff, ruff. Willoughby? Oh,
Morning, Admiral.
my.
How's the weather looking?
Dark clouds gathering over number 17. Storm warning's overdue.
Oh, London's byways where I doff me cap. This one's the hardest to find on a map. Cherry Tree Lane, how sweet has a song, but the nannies who come here, they don't stay for long. Chim chimani, chim chim, Cher-ee, chim charoo.
Katie Nana! Oh, those little beasts have run away from me for the last time!
And who gets stuck with the children with no nanny in the house? Me, that's who!
I've said my say, Mrs. Brill, and that's all I'll say. I'm through with this house forever.
Well, good riddance then. And mind you don't stumble on your way out.
Katie Nana, where are you going? Katie Nana!
Kate Nana's gone, is it anyone driven, half demented by your children's pranks?
Do you really think I made another blunder? What on earth am I to say to Mr. Banks? George, dear, I'm feeling so bereft, dear. Another nanny's left, dear. Every nanny goes, we're unlucky, I suppose.
We are never going to find a perfect nanny.
Nonsense! Precision and order, that's all that I ask. The running of a household, a straightforward task. The children, the servants, are all your domain, whilst I remain the sovereign of Cherry Tree Lane. Coat! The simple truth is you've engaged 6 nannies in the last 4 months, and they've all been unqualified disasters. A nanny should govern, a nanny should rule. A nanny is a paragon who suffers no fool. A nanny's a stalwart our children would gain by having such a nanny in Cherry Tree Lane.
Of course, George, but...
So take control of situations. Show your authority when interviewing staff. You know your role. They know their stations. Efficiency and forethought cut the jobs in half. Briefcase.
I thought Katie Nana would be firm with the children. She always looks so cross.
Now, Winifred, never confuse efficiency with a liver complaint. Umbrella!
If only we could find someone like her old nanny.
I'm afraid that's simply not realistic, my dear. Few women alive could manage Miss Andrews' standards of efficiency. Besides, we could never afford someone of her caliber.
Precision and order, he wants nothing less.
It's like an army barracks.
Yes, and we're in the mess. No wonder the nannies are driven insane. We're living in a madhouse in Cherry Tree Lane.
Now, Winifred, if you do want to please me,
Oh, you know I do, George.
very well. Then place an advertisement in the Times stating that Jane and Michael Banks require the best possible nanny at the lowest possible wage.
We'd better give them ours before they make another mistake.
Now, I would stress that she be capable of handling everything the job is
Father,
going...
What's that you're holding, dear?
we've written our own advertisement.
What on earth?
George, I think we should hear it.
Now, Winifred, none of your theatrics.
It won't hurt to listen.
Wanted, a nanny for 2 adorable children.
Adorable. Well, that's debatable, I must say.
If you want this choice position, have a cheery disposition. Rosy cheeks, no warts.
That's the part I put in.
Play games, all sorts. You must be kind, you must be witty. Very sweet and fairly pretty.
Of all the ridiculous...
George, please.
Take us on outings, give us treats.
Sing songs, bring sweets. Never be cross or cruel. Never feed us castor oil or gruel. Blech.
Love us as a son and daughter.
And never smell of barley water.
I put that bit in too.
If you won't scold and dominate us, we will never give you cause to hate us. We won't hide your spectacles so you can't see.
Put toads in your bed or pepper in your tea.
Hurry, Nani. Many thanks, sincerely. Jane
And Michael.
Banks.
Well, that is quite enough Tommy rot for one day. Now, will you please go upstairs and let me get to work?
They were only trying to help.
It won't help anyone to make me late. Now, where's my hat?
George, dear.
Hat!
I thought you put it down here.
Hat!
Unshareable as a hat can simply disappear.
You think we'll find a nanny who doesn't run away.
He's brushed it with boot polish.
Precision and order, that's all that I ask. The running of a household, a straightforward task. The children, the servants, are all your domain.
Whilst I remain the sovereign, mind you use your day well.
You remain the sovereign.
I shall be home at 6 o'clock sharp.
He remains the sovereign of Cherry Tree Lane.
Good morning.
Yes?
I've come in answer to the advertisement.
What advertisement? We haven't placed any advertisement, not yet.
George and Winifred Banks live here, do they not?
Mr. and Mrs. Banks live here, yes.
And you are looking for a nanny?
Well, I suppose so.
Very
but-
well then. Now let's see. Play games, all sorts, which I most certainly can. Take us on outings, give us treats.
Michael, it's our advertisement.
Rosy cheeks and fairly pretty. There's no objection on that score, I hope.
Oh, no, none at all.
I'm glad to hear it.
Oh, take it up with Mrs. Banks. She manages all that side of things. Nothing domestic has anything to do with me. And don't forget the references.
I make it a rule never to give references.
But I thought it was usual.
A very old-fashioned idea to my mind. The best people never require them now.
Oh, I see. You will have every third Thursday evening off from 5 until 9.
The best people give every second Wednesday from 6 till late, ma'am. And that is all I shall take.
Oh, well, it's all settled then.
As long as I am satisfied. I'll see the children now, thank you.
Of course, you'll find they're very nice children.
Ow! You stepped on my foot!
I did
Yeah,
not.
now she's going to hear us because you're
Every
a
time
klutz.
that I
This
do
is why
something,
Dad doesn't love you.
Now, this is... Oh.
I'm Mary Poppins. Jane, don't stare. And Michael, close your mouth. We are not a codfish. Best foot forward. Spit spot.
Mrs. Brill, we have a new nanny.
She passed her interview then.
Or I did.
Very tidy, I must say. Tidier than I was expecting. Who's responsible for that?
Mrs. Me. I am. I like to keep things neat.
Do you indeed? Well, I'll be sure to make use of that. If there's one thing I admire, it's a child whose word I can depend on. Who's he when he's at home?
That's Valentine. He's mine.
From the look on his face, I'm not sure he'd agree with you.
He's just a doll, and I don't want to play with him right now.
Treat him like that, and he might not want to play with you. Now, first things first, I always say the proper place to hang a hat is on a hat stand.
There's nothing in it.
We'd better keep an eye on this one. She's tricky.
Mary Poppins, how could you know what we wanted in a nanny when we made our list?
Your list? I am not an item in the weekly shop, thank you very much.
But how did you come then? It was as if the wind just blew you here.
It did. Now, stand over there. Just as I thought, a noisy, mischievous, troublesome little boy.
You're making that up! A noisy, mischievous, troublesome...
Now you. Thoughtless, short-tempered, and untidy.
I don't believe you. Let me see.
By the time the wind has blown the weather vane around, I'll show you if I can. No matter what the circumstance, for one thing I'm renowned. My character is spit, spot, spick, and span.
What about your measurement, Mary Poppins?
I'm practically perfect in
practically perfect.
So people say, each virtue virtually new snoop-out. Each trait is great and paintedly sound. I'm practically perfect from head to toe. If I had a fault, it would never dare to show. I'm so practically perfect in every way. Both prim and proper and never too stern. Well educated yet willing to learn. I'm clean and honest, my manner refined. And I wear shoes of the sensible kind. I'll suffer no nonsense, and whilst I remain, there's nothing else I feel I need explain. I'm practically perfect in every way. Practically perfect, that's my forte. Uncanny nannies are to find. Unique yet make unspeakably kind. I'm practically perfect, not slightly soiled. Running like an engine that's just been freshly oiled. I'm so practically perfect in every way. Well, those are my credentials. Perhaps you have a few questions.
Not temperamental,
Never.
not grouchy or gruff.
The very thought.
Will you stay tender when the going gets tough?
Quite the contrary.
Do you read stories without a big fuss?
Mm-hmm.
Or have objections to playing with us?
Oh, I like games, but I choose them.
That's not fair.
Some minor improvements may not go amiss, but at all times you must remember these.
You're practically perfect in every way.
I guarantee.
Practically perfect. We hope you'll stay.
Each virtue virtually new snoop-out. Each treat is great
And painfully sound.
Each exercise. Spit spot. Jane, doll's house, please. I'll take my telescope, thank you.
But it's not fair.
I didn't say I was fair. I said I was practically perfect. And here's my aim. By the time I leave here, you both will be the same. You'll be practically perfect.
Practically perfect. We will be practically perfect in every way.
Best foot forward. Spit spot.
Ching chimani, ching chimani, ching ching cheroo. I does what I likes, and I likes what I do. Today, I'm a skeever, and as you can see, a skeever's an artist of highest degree. And it's all me own work, from me own memory.
Oh, lobby, not these again.
Oh, come on, Mr. Parkkeeper. It's just me pictures like it always is. There's no harm in them.
I'll be the judge of that. This is my park, and I say you're interfering with a public railing. I want them removed this instant, or else... That is... Just you watch it. That's it. Just you watch it. danger roams on your plate.
You stay right where you are. I know that silhouette from anywhere. Mary Poppins.
It's nice to see you, Bert.
Well, I must say you do look swell.
But, how does he know you? He can't know you. You've only just arrived.
I wasn't born 1 minute before I walked into your house, Michael Banks. Do you know these two, Bert?
I've seen him running around chasing a kite.
It isn't a real kite.
So, what are you up to?
Mary Poppins says it's a game. She calls it a walk in the park.
Some game. I'd rather eat spinach.
Come on, Bert. You're due for a break. And you'd promised you'd take me out when we met again, or have you forgotten?
Of course ain't, Mary, but...
Oh dear. Is that all you've got? Never mind. My treat. And besides, no one's charging for the trees and the sky, are they?
Mary Poppins? Is he really coming with us?
Why shouldn't he?
Well, to start with, he's awfully dirty. Father would never approve.
What's that?
You can't come with us! You're too dirty! And we don't want to go to the stinky park anyway.
Oh, yes, you do. Because when you walk with Mary Poppins, you go to places you never dreamed of. And if she says it's a game, she's got something in mind. You can be certain of that.
That's a picture of the park, isn't it?
That's not the park. Not our park, anyway. Look, that tree is a much brighter green, and the sky is quite a different blue.
I think you'll find it's just the way I've drawn it. All that it takes is a spark, then something, plain as a park, becomes a wonderland. All you have to do is look anew, then you'll understand why it's a jolly all a day with Mary. Mary makes her heart so light.
Oh, really?
When the day is grey and ordinary, Mary makes the sunshine bright.
You do talk nonsense, Bert.
Oh, happiness is blooming all around her. The daffodils are smiling at the dove.
I haven't the faintest idea what
When
you're
Mary
talking
holds
about.
your hand, you feel so grand. Your heart starts beating like a big brass band.
You've got enough brass for all of us.
Oh, it's a jolly all a day with Mary. No wonder that it's Mary that we love. Come on, you two.
Boring, just like other nannies thinking parks are good for us. It's just statues, ducks, and grannies. I don't understand all the fuss.
Is she doing it to spite us?
We could lose her for a look.
Perhaps it's all the plot.
I'll tell you what, she seems so different, but I bet she's not. There is nothing to excite us in
The park. What was that?
You're quite wrong, you know.
Who are you?
I'm Neelius. Surely you know that. You sat beneath me often enough. I've waited half a century to walk on a sunny day like this.
Ain't it a glorious day, bright as the morning in May.
I feel like I could fly.
Have you ever seen the grass so green or a bluer sky?
Bluer sky. Oh, it's a jolly all a day with Mary. Better days I've never known.
You can ask the passing statuary.
Nothing's ever set in stone.
Morning, Mary.
Morning, Constable.
You're looking tip-top, if I may say so.
Thank you, Bert. And you may.
Each man out with his dog will stand agog to see a statue take a gentle jog. Oh, it's a jolly holiday with Mary. No wonder that it's Mary that we love.
It's a jolly holiday with you, Bert. Gentlemen like you are few. Though you're just a diamond in the rough, Bert, underneath your blood is blue. You'd never think of pressing your advantage. Forbearance is the hallmark of your creed. A lady needn't feel when you are near. Your sweet dentality is crystal clear.
It's crystal clear. Oh, it's a jolly holiday with you.
It's a jolly holiday.
A jolly, jolly holiday with you.
Let's go for a jaunty saunter. We are bound to make a mark. Looks like all of us were born to take a promenade in the park.
Jane, did that really happen?
Yes. But how?
Mary Poppins, of course.
But how do you know Mary Poppins?
She's an old friend of my father.
Your father? You're a statue. You can't have a father.
But if that's true, why do I miss him so much?
Isn't he one of the other statues?
No, he lives far away from here.
Do you really miss him?
Wouldn't you miss your father if you hardly ever saw him?
I'll have to think about that.
That's it. That's it. That's what it was.
What?
The plinth is half empty. The statue's gone.
Do you mean to say you've lost your marbles?
It was you, wasn't it? I knew we should have trouble when you first arrived, and now we've got a statue missing. Ah! What? Oh, Lummy.
Will you play with us again?
Of course, I'm not going anywhere.
Then we'll see you soon. Goodbye, Nelius.
Goodbye.
Mary Poppins, could Nelius's father ever come to stay? He seems so lonely.
Anything can happen if you let it.
How long will you stay?
We'll see.
you aren't going to leave us, will you, Mary Poppins?
I'll stay till the wind changes. Now, run along in.
Good night, Jane. Good night, Michael. Good night, Mary.
Good night, Bert.
Jane and Michael want to say goodnight.
Tell them you've given me the message.
George, please.
Oh, Father, we've had the most fantastic day. We danced with a busker, sang with a statue, and met Queen Victoria. You wouldn't have approved, but...
If you know that, then why did you do it?
Daddy, can I have a kite? A real one.
Could you fly it?
You can always teach me.
And when would I have time to do that?
Daddy, who was the father of Neleus?
Would you please let me get on? Good night.
Poor Michael. All he cares about is flying kites. And his beloved astronomy, of course.
I used to love astronomy at his age. My nanny, Miss Andrews, soon beat it out of me.
I suppose we do need a nanny, George. Is it out of the question to do without one?
Don't be absurd. Of course we need a nanny. All the best people have nannies, so the wives can do charity work and entertain. Which reminds me, how is your tea party coming on?
I'm not sure. It seems so odd to send out invitations to people I hardly know.
But they're people you should know. Remember, by your friends shall ye be judged.
But that's the point. They're not my friends. Well, actually, I heard from Clemmy Bunting the other day. She mentioned she was rehearsing a new play, so I thought I might ask...
How many times must I tell you? I wish you to sever all connection with that part of your life.
George, I was an actress, and lots of people might find that interesting. Though you always talk as if I should be ashamed of it.
Well, it's not exactly something to be proud of. Winifred, darling, I'm only thinking of you. I want people to admire you, to respect you.
I know, George, but sometimes it's hard.
It's not hard. It's your job to be Mrs. Banks.
And what is your job?
To pay for everything. What is it?
I was only going to kiss you.
Oh. Oh. All right. Are you going to say something to Mary Poppins about this afternoon?
I don't think so.
Very well. Just make sure she's doing things our way and not hers. What good are rules if you can bend them? We need a nanny who is disciplined and stern. With boys and girls, you don't befriend them. I fear that Mary Poppins has a lot to learn.
Being Mrs. Banks should be an easy role, and yet it's one which I don't seem too good at on the whole. I have a comfy home, I have a simple life, I have a name which tells the world I'm someone else's wife. Being Mrs. Banks, what does that entail? Facing tests of character, I always seem to fail. And as for his best people, well, I'd like to say no thanks. They're not exactly my idea of being Mrs. Banks.
I still feel as if I'm dreaming.
So much fun in just one day.
When Mary holds your hand, you feel so grand. Your heart starts beating like a big brass band. I'm sure Neelius is beaming.
Let's hope she will stay.
Good night, Neelius.
Let's hope she will stay.
Precision and order.
Winds do change, tides can turn, sink or swim. See what you learn. Me, I was told when I was small, just learn a trade. So I learned them all. Chim chimani, chim chim Cher-ee.
Morning, Bert. Swabbing the decks today, I see.
Gotta keep the streets ship-shape, Admiral.
Tell me, how are things aboard number 17? All plain sailing with Mary Poppins, I trust?
There's rough weather on every voyage. Admiral?
Oh, Miss Lark, what those children need is a touch of the cat and a night in the yardarm.
What those children need, Admiral, is a touch of happiness. Ruff, ruff, ruff. Willoughby! Oh my.
Mrs. Brill, don't make the sandwiches too early. They'll get stale before the guests arrive.
Everything's under control, Mum.
And what about the cake?
Cooling on the tray, waiting to be iced.
And you're quite sure you know how to ice it?
Quite sure. And in case you're worried, I have not been exchanged by the fairies for a total nincompoop.
No.
No.
Well, I'll just be up in the drawing room then.
I'd like to be helpful.
I'd like to be rich, but the good Lord thought otherwise.
Mother wants you in the drawing room.
Well, she can't have me. I have enough on my plate as it is.
She says you could tell Roberts and I what to do.
Does she indeed? Why don't I go and have a smoke near the gasworks for good measure?
Please, Mrs. Brill, I don't mind, honest.
All right. I'll give you one task and one task only. And so help me, if you get this wrong, I'll swing for you and sing as they pull the lever.
What is it, Mrs. Brill?
Put the icing tools
Icing
next
tools.
to the cake.
Cake.
And I'll need a bowl of hot water to warm them.
Hot water.
I will make the icing as soon
I will
as
make
I'm
the
back.
icing as soon as I'm back.
How do you think you can manage that?
Is that all?
For you, yes. For me, no. Once the cake's done, I've the sandwiches next because Madame wants them fresh, so I can't start them until there's no time to finish them. I swear a slave in ancient Rome was on a pleasure cruise compared to my life in this house. All I ever do is work, 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 work.
Well, don't just stand there, Roberts and I.
Right, no.
What are you looking for?
A bowl for the hot water.
Michael, why don't we make the icing?
Because we don't know how?
Don't be feeble. Get the eggs. If Miss Brill can do it, it can't be that hard.
Are there eggs in icing?
there are in mine.
I don't think Mrs. Brill will thank you.
Then she will be guilty of great ingratitude.
Is it supposed to look like that?
It doesn't look like that when Mrs. Brill does it.
Don't be impertinent and get me the cake.
Right you are, Miss Jane, honestly. I was only trying to help. If you would only just...
Mrs. Brill, go up and get ready.
Oh, what have you done? Oh, Roberts and I. Oh, dear, should I call a doctor?
I don't think that will be necessary, ma'am.
How can you be so unkind when you know how important my party is? You two deserve some very nasty medicine. Just you wait until bedtime.
I don't think we shall wait until then, ma'am. Why don't you go on and get changed? We'll clean up around here, won't we?
But we're not ill. I won't take it, and you can't make me.
In that, as in so many things, your information is faulty. Open.
But strawberry ice.
Now you.
I'm not sure I like strawberry ice.
I'm not sure I care. Open.
But lime cordial.
Now, off you go, you two. Michael, I know how you like to keep things neat. Jane.
I told you she was tricky. Must we? Can't Roberts and I do it when he wakes up? After all, he is a servant.
With that attitude, you'll get through a lot of stuff before you're very old. Besides, in every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You'll find the fun and snap. The job's a game. And every task you undertake becomes a piece of cake. A look, a spree, it's very clear to see that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, the medicine go down, medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in the most delightful way. My point exactly. The honey bees that fetch the nectar from the flower to the comb never tire them a buzzing to and fro, because they take a little nip from every flower that they see, and hence
They find their task is not a grind, for a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, the medicine go down, medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down
in the most delightful way. Cups and saucers, please. Spit spot. Is this how you usually do it, Michael? Rum punch, my favorite.
Mary Poppins, you're a miracle worker. However did you get them to do it?
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
The medicine?
Go down, medicine.
Go down.
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down
in the most delightful way.
So, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
The medicine go down.
Medicine go down.
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down
in the most delightful
way. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, the medicine go down, medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the
We'll be off now, ma'am. Come along, children.
Sorry, Mum. Apparently these came for you this morning and Roberts and I forgot to give them to you. Their apologies, Mum, from your guests. They're not coming. None of them.
Do you think we chose the wrong day?
No, Mum, I think you asked the wrong people.
In a most delightful way.
Mary Poppins, where are we going today?
I thought we could play our next game.
What game?
A visit to the bank.
That's not a game. Did Daddy agree?
If he did, you must have put the idea into his head somehow.
What an impertinent thing to say. Me putting ideas into other people's heads. Really?
Precision and order, cogs in a wheel, opening a ledger, closing a deal, prudent investment, financial sense, a perfect ray of sunshine, counts shillings and pence.
Good morning. Great men have dreams of power and position, and it's our job to back them to the hilt. For shrewd investment and advice, they'll pay our price.
The bedrock on which banks are built.
Banks, a word. I see Herr von Hustler is coming in again today. Have you made your decision?
I believe so, sir.
Good, good. Be sure it's the right one.
In every transaction, credit or debt, sheets are all well balanced, targets are met.
Banks, what objections do you have? My security is more than adequate, and Latin America is an expanding market. Have you no courage?
But, Mr. von Hustler, what I struggle to grasp is, what exactly is your final product?
What do you think? Money, of course.
Yes, but I wonder, making money out of money, is that enough?
Are you man enough to be a banker? A man has dreams of building an empire to make his name in many distant lands. And in the new world, I am told, will soon strike gold. Let's seize that chance with both our hands.
Assessing the market, limit the risk, little room for error. Business is brisk.
Have you come to your decision yet, Mr. Banks? There's a town of good people whose future depends on you.
I know that.
Give us this chance. You won't regret it. The factory could be running in weeks and expanding before the year's out. Please, Mr. Banks, I'd give it everything I've got, believe me.
I do believe you, Mr. Northbrook, and I've tried to find a way, but this simply is not the collateral.
What about my workforce? Decent men who want better lives. They are my collateral. My men have dreams to earn an honest living, a wife and kids, a home to call their own. If you'd invest in us today, it paves the way. I promise we'd repay the loan.
I'm sorry, Mr. Northbrook, but there's no way.
Daddy!
What on earth are you doing here? Can't you see I'm busy?
No, we're done, and no man should be too busy for his own children. What are you here for, young man? Have you come for some money as well?
Hardly. What would they need money for?
Well, it's never too early to learn its value.
I know the value of this. 6p.
No, that's its worth. Its value's in how you spend it. Do good and you may have good luck.
And what do you say to Mr. Northbrook?
Thank you.
I'll wait outside.
What is the meaning of this? Really, Mary Poppins, I am not without a sense of humor, but...
Aren't you, Daddy?
No, I am not. But when I was a little boy, I would never have dared interrupt my father.
Were you ever a little boy?
Of course I was. But my nanny, Miss Andrew, kept me out of my father's way. And he'd have been quite annoyed if she hadn't.
But what about your mother?
I shouldn't think I saw either one of them more than once a week.
Didn't they mind?
Mine. They were glad to be rid of me.
Then who kissed you goodnight? Miss Andrew?
Oh, certainly not. There was no time for hugs and kisses and all that soppy nonsense. What's the matter?
Poor Daddy.
Poor? What do you mean poor? That's what made me the man I am today. Eh, Mary Poppins?
Yes, I'm afraid it did.
That is more than enough. You've seen where I work, and I have a great deal to do.
Daddy, when you invest the bank's money, what are you looking for? A good man or a good idea?
Well, I suppose I should say a good idea. But a good man is much rarer and much more valuable.
Come along, children.
Mr. von Hustler, I've considered your arguments, but I'm afraid my answer is no.
So you don't recognize a good idea?
Perhaps not, but I do recognize a good man when I see one.
You will regret this, Banks. Humph!
A man with dreams that life hasn't broken. A man with hopes, ambitions to fulfill. A man you're certain at first glance deserves a chance. Now, Mr. Northbrook, when exactly can your factory open?
Thank you, sir. You won't regret this.
There's that horrible old woman.
Don't point. And for your information, she's not in the least horrible.
But she's just a bundle of rags.
When will you learn to look past what you see? Early each day at the steps of St. Paul's, the little old bird woman comes. In her own special way, to the people she calls. Come buy my bags full of crumbs. Come feed the little birds, show them you care, and you'll be glad if you do. Their young ones are hungry, their nests are so bare. All it takes is tuppence from you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag. Tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag. Feed the birds, that's what she
doing?
I'm going to give her my 6 pence.
What a waste.
That is a matter of opinion. Here, 1 bag, please. Save your 6pence. All around the cathedral, the saints and apostles look down as she sells her wares. Although you can't see them, you know they are smiling each time someone shows that he cares. Her words are simple and few. Listen, listen, she's calling to you. Read the birds, Poppins are back, Poppins, Poppins, Poppins are back.
All gone.
Poppins, Poppins, Poppins are back.
You don't say. Oh, well, here she is now. You can tell her yourself.
Isn't that Miss Lark's dog, Willoughby?
Do not interrupt when someone is barking. You were saying. Really? Well, if she keeps running off like that, you might want to keep her on a lead. Oh, look, here she comes now.
Willoughby, it's all right. Mummy's here. Oh, my. You know, sometimes you almost think he could talk. Don't scare me like that, Willoughby.
But can Willoughby really talk?
Of course he can. Getting him to stop is the problem.
But how do you learn to talk dog?
How do you think? Master the grammar.
Practice when you can.
And avoid mongrels.
Far too much slang.
Now come along. I can't stand here all day talking shop.
Talking shop? What a silly expression.
There is nothing silly about it in the least.
What do you buy in a talking shop?
Conversations, of course.
I've never been to a talking shop.
Well, there is only one, and it belongs to Mrs. Corey.
Who's Mrs. Corey?
Who's Mrs. Corey? Mrs. Corey's older than anyone in the world. She talked to William before he went conquering, to Vlad before he went impaling, and to Alexander when he weren't so great.
We'll have to call for her shop in the park.
There is no shop in the park.
Remember, anything can happen if you let it.
That's it! I'm out of conversations!
Good day to you, Mrs. Corey.
Well, if it isn't Mary Poppins with Jane and Michael Banks. Oh,
she knows us.
Oh, and how's poor little Georgie?
Who?
Georgie Banks, your father. He used to give his nanny the slip and come into my shop in secret.
But it can't be the same George Banks. That would have been 40 years ago, and no one can remember back that far.
Listen, dearie, I remember everything. I remember your father used to love my gingerbread. I wonder if we've any left today. Annie, Fanny, look lively.
Yes, Mother.
There we are. Gingerbread pieces with gingerbread stars. Georgie always saved his stars. Now, Mary Poppins, what can I do for you?
Well, I did like to buy an ounce of conversation.
I'm fresh out of conversations, and I'm right out of words, too. I've had a lot of chatterboxes in here today. Let me see what I have left. I do have some letters and a bit of back chat. An ounce, you say? That will be 15 letters. Take your pick.
Jane, you choose 7.
I've got a D, G, R, U, C, L, and I.
Those are no good. You can't make a conversation out of them.
Now, Michael. 7 more.
A, F,
S.
E, T, O, and P.
And I'll choose an X. Now, what words can we make?
Well, I see dog and cat.
Rotoplex, that's 9.
Lapito fieris. 11. Nearly there.
Those don't count. You made them up.
And where do you think words came from in the first place? Someone had to make them up.
You know, we can use the same letter more than once. Now let's see. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
That's not a word.
Well, of course it's a word, and unless I'm very much mistaken, I think it's going to prove to be a rather useful one. When trying to express oneself, it's frankly quite absurd to leaf through lengthy lexicons to find the perfect word. A little spontaneity keeps conversation keen. You need to find a way to say precisely what you mean. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious, if you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
But it doesn't mean anything.
It can mean exactly what you want it to. When Stone Age men were chatting, simply grunting would suffice.
Although if they heard this word, they might have used it once or twice.
I'm sure Egyptian pharaohs would have crossed it in a jiff. Then every single pyramid would bear this hieroglyph. Oh, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Say it and wild animals will not seem so ferocious.
Add some further flourishes, pseudo-coco-cocious.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Druids would have carved it on their mighty monoliths.
The ancient Greeks, I'm certain, would have used it in their myths.
I'm sure the Roman Empire only entered the abyss because those Latin scholars never had a word like this.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
If you say it softly, the effect can be hypnosis.
Check your breath before you speak in case it's halitosis.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Of course you can say it backwards, which is so-io-echolide-zepsigazilagarphilocrepus.
She may be tricky, but she's bloody good.
So when the cat has got your tongue, there's no need for dismay. Just summon up this word and then you've got a lot to say.
I'll pick out those 18 consonants and 16 vowels as well, and put them in an order which is very hard to spell.
S-U-P-E-R C-A-L-I-F
F
R-A-G-I-L
I-S-T-I-C-E-X-P-I-A-L-I-D-O-C-I-O-U-S.
Smarty pants.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I-S-T-I-C-E-X-P-I-A-L-I-D-O-C-I-O-U-S. S-U-P-E-R-C-I-A-L-I-D-O-C-I-O-U-S.
The winds may blow, but who's to know exactly what they're bringing? Good news or bad, happy or sad, the pendulum keeps swinging.
Right, stand back. You were never to come near that vase, nor no one else but me neither. That is an heirloom.
Heirloom.
And while I do this, stay totally immobile.
Immobile.
Do not move a muscle.
Muscle.
Do not breathe. Do you hear me?
I might as well be dead.
Don't give me any ideas.
A game is played, a change is made, but still the road is long. And though they might yet fly a kite, sometimes the wind's too strong.
George, what's happened? Are you ill?
No? Should I be?
Of course not. Only why on earth are you home so early? Is everything all right?
No. Everything is all wrong.
My dear, what is it?
Well, if you must know, I refused some German chap a loan. It seems he's gone to our chief rivals. They've given him the money, and it's turned into a gold mine.
Well, they can't expect you to get it right every time.
Can't they? That's exactly what they expect.
Oh, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough,
That is more than loud enough. Now go to your room.
But we were just...
I don't care what you adjust. Upstairs now. Where's my briefcase? I put it here. Michael? Jane? Will you give it to me? Must I put up with this behavior? You're their mother, can't you do something?
Well, I can try not shouting for a start.
Mary Poppins, you are here to teach the children manners. And just look at them. They're a pair of little savages. If I had it my way, you would be out of this house.
George, you're tired. Mary Poppins, please don't bring the children down tonight. Mr. Banks is quite exhausted.
I hope you haven't forgotten, ma'am. Tonight's my night out.
Oh dear, I had forgotten.
What?
I suppose the best people wouldn't ask you to change your plans?
No, ma'am, they wouldn't.
I thought not.
But that's not fair. Daddy loses his temper and we're shut up in the nursery. Daddy's mean and rotten and I hate him.
Jane, take that back this instant. I will not have you criticize your father.
Why not? He criticizes you. Last week, he said you were neither use nor ornament.
How dare
I
you!
heard him and so did you!
Sometimes people say things that they don't mean. Mary Poppins, please take the children up now. George,
What is it now?
I thought you might like to talk about it.
And what would be the point?
Perhaps I can help.
Don't be ridiculous.
George, I'm serious. If you have troubles, I'd like to share them.
Don't worry, you will. The fact is, I've been suspended without salary until they decide what to do with me.
Twists and turns, ups and downs. One moment smiles, next moment frowns. But bad-tempered faces had better change quick, 'cause if the wind changes, the face might just stick. Chim chimani chim chim, Cher-ee chim cheroo.
It's not fair. You're going out, and we get left on our own.
You've plenty of toys to play with.
I don't want to. They're boring.
Be careful, or they might say the same about you.
Why does Daddy get so cross?
Fathers are supposed to look after their children, not yell at them all the time.
And who looks after the fathers when things go wrong?
The mothers, I suppose.
Not the children.
Wouldn't that be rather upside down?
Sometimes families are upside down. For a while, anyway.
Well, I don't want to be in an upside down family. I wish I could run away.
Why don't you? Somebody might adopt you.
But you'd miss me.
No, I would not. I could have your toys.
No, you could not.
Yes, I could. And I jolly well would. Give that to me.
Now look what you've done.
What has Valentine ever done to you?
He's a doll, silly. He couldn't do anything.
Now that is it out of you both. Off to bed at once.
But we haven't had our milk.
There'll be no milk and no buts either. If you can't play fair, you might as well be sorry.
I wish you'd just leave us alone.
Be careful what you wish for. Go on inside, Valentine, and make yourself presentable.
Well, I'm not going to bed, and you can't make me.
In that, as in so many things,
your information
is faulty. Playing the game, taking your turn. Some children lose, some children learn. Treat the toys nicely and maybe they'll treat you the same. Playing the game. Are you feeling any better, Valentine?
Much better, thank you.
Tempers are free, tempers are lost. Nobody stops to think of the cost.
But they tore my arm. Again.
Oh dear. Children who lose their temper will lose everything else in the end.
They're not playing the game, not playing fair, not with the doll, not with the bear. Thrown on the floor and neglected, and they were to blame. Playing the game. Please tell them.
Why don't you tell them?
What's going on? What's happened to the toys?
Make them go small and get back in their box!
Why? You've hurt them and called them names. Now it's their turn. Summon the toys. Now is the time to tell of your woes, to tell of their crime. Crime. Come one, come all, enter the free. They need to hear what you have to say.
They stamp and shout.
They stamp and shout.
Create such a fuss. They need to learn the value of us.
Well,
You think you know everything.
I couldn't agree more. Jane,
They're our toys, and we'll do as we please with them. So there.
so there indeed. Playing the game, having a ball. Those who won't play shan't play at all. Well, we meet maybe when they've learned to play the game.
Up where the smoke saw billow and curl, between pavement and stars is a chimney sweep's world, where there's hardly no day, nor hardly no night. These things haven't shadow, enough ways in light. On the rooftops of London, what a sight.
So you're a chimney sweep now?
Best view in the world, eh? And who gets to see it? The birds, the stars, and the chimney sweeps. Nothing to beat it, eh? Now as the ladder of life has been strung, you might think a sweep's on the bottommost rung, though I spends me times in the ashes in smoke. In this whole wide world there's no happier bloke. Chim chimani, chim chimani, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimani, chim chimani, chim chim cheroo.
Good luck will rub off when he shakes hands with you.
Or blow me a kiss,
Bert,
and that's lucky too. Oh, you're going then?
the wind has changed.
But they're good kids, Mary.
Would I be bothering with them if they weren't? But I can't help them if they won't let me. And there's no one so hard to teach as a child who knows everything.
So?
So they've got to do the next bit on their own.
Chim chimani, chim chimani, chim chim cheree.
When you're with us, sweep, you're in glad company. Goodbye, Bert.
Chim, chim, chim chim cheree. When you're with us, sweep, you're in glad company. Nowhere is there a more happier crew than them's what sings chim chim cheree chim charoo. Chim chimani, chim chim cheree chim charoo.
Cheerio, Bert. Look after them for me.
She can't have left us.
Oh, yes, she can. And she's taken all of our toys.
What's the note say?
What in the name of heaven are you two doing out here? Where's Mary Poppins? Gone. Gone.
Well, if that doesn't take the bloomin' biscuit.
Mrs. Brill, what does au revoir mean? Why? Because that's what she's written in this note. Dear Jane and Michael, keep playing the games. Au revoir, Mary Poppins.
It's French, I know that. Does it mean God bless you? Or is it good luck? No, I remember now. Till we meet again. Now come inside before you catch your death.
Lovely weather.
Mrs. Brill, is the nursery tidy?
As tidy as I can make it, Mum.
You knew how hard it was to track her down.
Really, Mum? Fancy that. Go to get through none is for the flippin' pastime. Now when one returns to make this fearful fuss. Never liked her much when she was here the last time.
At least she makes life easier for both of us.
Mrs. Brill, it is her, isn't it?
Well, I don't know who else.
Why is it such a secret? Do you think that she's returned to get things back the way they were?
The note says, till we meet again.
I just know it must be her. Oh my goodness, she'll be here any moment. Now, where's George? George, dear, you're going to be surprised.
Winifred, you know very well I hate surprises at the best of times.
Not this one, George. Oh, I do believe you're going to be proud of me for once. Precision and order, it's perfectly true. Can really make a difference. I found her for you. Clear thinking, sound judgment, and now we'll regain a home you can be proud of in Cherry-Tree Lane. Hurry up, everyone, into the hall. I want her to find everything. Spit, spot, spick, and span.
Spick and span.
Our sense of excitement is hard to contain. Order is returning. Wonder is returning. Someone is returning to Cherry-Tree Lane.
Good morning.
The Holy Terror!
Miss Andrew, it's so lovely to meet you at last. I do hope you had a good journey.
It was thoroughly unpleasant. I never enjoy travel. You must be poor George's wife. Your flower bed is disgracefully untidy. Take my advice. Plant evergreens. Or, better still, have nothing there at all. Just a plain cement courtyard.
But, dear Miss Andrew, I'm so fond of flowers.
Then you are a very silly woman. Where did George go?
Oh, I'm afraid he had an urgent appointment.
For which no doubt he was late as usual. It's not much of a house, is it?
We like it.
And it doesn't take a lot to keep you happy. Look at the dust. There. Oh. And there. Oh. Filth.
Well, we are rather short-staffed at the moment.
Hasn't anyone ever cleaned those curtains?
Oh. Now just a minute!
You must be the children. Pity. I don't suppose you know who I am.
Yes, we do. You're the Holy Terror.
Impudent boy! You're Jane, I suppose. Why aren't you wearing your stockings?
I don't like them.
Tat! What manners! I can see there is not a minute to lose. These children have been spoiled. I've arrived here just in time. By chance I brought the punishment that best befits the crime. Brimstone and treacle and cod liver oil. Liberal doses of each. These are the treats from which children recoil. The lessons I'm going to teach. Just follow my model and don't mollycoddle. It may lead the irksome to irk. So seek satisfaction from punit to action. Brimstone and treacle will work. Open.
Oh, does it taste as bad as it smells?
West.
Do I have to?
Open. Brimstone and treacle and carbolic soap. These are the tools of my trade. With spoonfuls of sugar, you don't have a hope of seeing that changes are made. When manners are chronic, my tincture's the tonic that's certain to wipe off a smirk. So pour out a ration in matronly fashion. Brimstone and treacle will work. Your son will go to boarding school at once. And as for the girl, I shall take charge of her myself. I won't stand for whining or whittling or whim-pudding, crying or lying or sobbing or sin-pudding. I feel it's clear that it leads to such bad habits left. First threaten to throttle and uncork the bottle. Brimstone and treacle will work. Now, show me my room. Brimstone and treacle.
Stay, they'll have to dismiss her. You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm disappointed, truly, I am. I thought it was going to be, you know, her with the umbrella.
What are we going to do?
The only thing we can't do. Run away. Wait, where are we going?
To the park.
I'm tired.
Keep going.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet now?
Stop it!
What about now?
My God.
So far.
Oh, easy now. Your friend ain't gonna hurt you.
Oh, Bert. It's only you.
You're filthy.
Perhaps it's matter too. It so happens today I'm a chimney sweep. So, what's the man who's after you?
The nastiest nanny in the world.
The nastiest nanny in the world, eh? Well, you two should know you've been through enough of them. Is she really all that?
She looks like something that would eat its young.
Miss Andrew was Daddy's nanny.
Which explains a lot.
Poor Daddy. Ever since he stopped working, he just sits and mopes. Mary Poppins used to say he needed our help, but now it's too late.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Tell you what, why don't we start things off with a bit of a shake for good luck?
Why would shaking hands with you bring us luck?
Didn't anyone ever tell you it's lucky to shake a sweep's hand?
But what do you do if you want some luck?
Oh, well, I'll shake hands with myself. Now, What have we got here?
Michael, look! It's a real one! What's the matter? Haven't you always wanted to fly a proper kite?
I've always wanted to fly one with Daddy.
Of course you have. But you need to know how it's done. Get some training in and you'll make him the proudest father in the country.
You really think so? You're not just saying that?
Did I say the country? The whole blooming empire, more like. With tappings for paper and string, you can have your own set of wings. With your feet on the ground, you're a bird in flight with your fist holding tight to the string of your kite. Whoa, let's go fly a kite up to the highest height. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite. Try again.
Try again.
What's this? We don't allow litter here.
It isn't litter, it's a kite.
Oh, a kite, is it? My word, it is. I haven't flown a kite since I was a boy. Now, wind her up, give her a run, and away she'll go.
I want to do it.
But you'll let me fly it, won't you? Seeing as I haven't flown one since I was a boy.
Oh, all right.
When you send it flying up there, all at once you're lighter than air. You can dance on the breeze over houses and trees with your fist holding tight to the string of your kite. Whoa, let's go fly a kite up to the highest height. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite. Eugene!
I can't, it's stuck!
Oh, help!
Let me!
You can do it. Pull one more time.
Don't squeeze. I'm not a sardine in a tin. And where are your coats?
We didn't have time to put them on.
And why not, may I ask?
Because we've run away.
Have you indeed?
Oh, Mary Poppins, it's been so awful since you went away. And now, Miss Andrews come, and Daddy's ruined, and we never helped him like you wanted us to. And we were too stupid to hear what you were saying.
Oh my eye, but your life's a tragedy. Now, run along in and don't dawdle.
But she's there. She came as a surprise for Daddy this morning.
Did she? Well, maybe I'll be a surprise for her. That was a lovely greeting, Bert.
Hi, mateys, Mary. Welcome. You're a sight for sore eyes.
You really are. Welcome back, Mary Poppins.
I told you they were good kids.
And I told you they were worth bothering with.
Now see here, it's against regulations coming down from the sky like that. And I'd like to know, where from, eh? Where from?
If I were a park keeper, I'd straighten my cap and button my coat. Come along, children.
But aren't you going to shake hands with Bert for good luck?
No,
Why not? We have.
I don't need any luck, thank you.
Illusions may shatter, but memories stay. The things that really matter, I lost on the way. The sovereign, the master, and long may he reign. The famous good for nothing of Cherry Tree Lane.
Oh, they'll find their way home in no time. Let's face it, Mom. They've had enough practice.
But this time, they're not being naughty. I'm afraid I've made them unhappy. I'm afraid I've made everyone unhappy.
They'll turn up. Don't you worry.
George, dear, I know it hurts your pride, dear. But you can't just run and hide, dear. Why can't you see that I'm here? And I am on your side. Whenever you spoke of Miss Andrew, you showered that woman with praise. But now that I've met dear Miss Andrew, there are one or two things I'd rephrase. To think you were raised by that monster and carried that burden through life. If only you had seen that you could share it with your wife. Being Mrs. Banks, it's easy to forget the way I felt that summer's day, the day that we first met. Being Mrs. Banks, being kissed by you, a man of dreams who made me feel like wishes could come true. And now, although you're lost, it's time that we close ranks. I'll fight for the man who needs freeing, the real you who no one is seeing, and you'll find a way of just being Mr.
Perhaps she's killed everyone. Perhaps they're all dead.
Roberts and I, not like that, you stupid boy.
Well, they're not all dead. What's that noise?
It's a caged bird. I might have known. Did she? Well, frankly, that's not a surprise. Locked in this cage and not free in the skies for 2 years. How shameful. Yes, of course, that's a field I know well. An hour no longer, your wings will grow stronger. Once you are free from this cell.
What kind of a bird is it?
A lark. You are seeing a lark in a cage for the first time, and the last. My pleasure. Don't mention it.
I'm going downstairs to fetch Caruso, my lark. You stay there and clean the grate. Again. Decided to come crawling back, have you? Well, I think we know what's needed now. Brimstone and Treacle, my favorite liquor. That will make runaways stop. Impudent children respond so much quicker. Forced to drink every last drop.
Is this what you're looking for?
Who are you?
I'm Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins? But you left without notice.
And I've come back without notice.
I see. And what you expect me to do?
Pack!
You insolent young person! How dare you speak to me in this way? Silly little girl with your newfangled methods. Hiding up children so they know their place. Setting for tradition, I govern my charges.
Mishandled charges blow up in your face.
I brought up their father.
Well, that he turned out. You must be so proud of the way he turned out.
A shining example, a pillar,
a post. They all have their problems, but he more than most.
Caruso? Where's my lark? Caruso! You let my little lark out of his cage. Now you will bear the full brunt of my age. Brimstone and Treacle for you. Brimstone and Treacle.
Just a spoonful of sugar.
Brimstone and Treacle.
Just a spoonful of sugar.
Brimstone and Treacle.
Just a spoonful of sugar.
Poppins, wherever did you come from?
She came from
Michael, Jane, is that you? Oh, thank heaven. Oh, but you're very naughty to go running off like that, and I should be as angry as anything if I weren't so pleased to see you. Oh. So, Mary Poppins, now that you're back, are you going to stay?
I'll stay for as long as necessary, ma'am.
Because the last time you were here, you left without a word of warning. How do I know you won't do it again?
You don't.
Oh. Excuse me, Mum. Constable, I'm so sorry I bothered you, but they're back and
Not all of them, Mum.
What?
Found this one out wandering in the park. Good night, Mom.
George?
Where is she?
Miss Andrew? She left.
Left? But how?
She might have thought we were rude.
Rude? To Miss Andrew? Well, I can't forgive it, but I can certainly try to forget. In fact, I'd have given you 6 pence if I had one.
And George, you haven't noticed, but Mary Poppins is back.
Is she? Well, Mary Poppins, I wonder if I might have a word. There's no sense in beating about the bush. Things have not gone well for us since you left us, and...
About my wages, sir. I won't take any just now. I should like to let them accrue first.
Oh, but Mary Poppins, if you only knew how many payments were accruing as it is.
Is everything settled?
It is. Now I must get started. Jane, Michael, Spitspot. Are the drains playing up, or is Mrs. Brill cooking?
Come along, darling. You made a mistake, but how bad is that? After so many years of good service, what's the worst that could happen?
Winifred, if I am to be dismissed from the bank, we'll be destitute. The servants will leave. The house will be repossessed. We'll be out with the children, sitting on the frosty curbside.
Well, we'll still have what really matters. The children and each other.
You're practically perfect in every way.
I guarantee.
Practically perfect. We hope you'll stay.
Let's wait and see. Uncanny nannies are to find. Unique yet meek, unspeakably kind.
You're practically perfect.
And yet I'm sure there's still room for improvement. A few games more.
Is that locket new?
And if it is,
What's inside of it?
a portrait.
Whose?
You'll know when the time comes and not before.
You are going to stay this time, aren't you, Mary Poppins?
I'll stay to the chain breaks.
What chain? Where?
Oh, do be careful, Michael. The room is a bit excited to see me back, and you never know what might happen around a fireplace.
Ah! Mary Poppins! Michael! Come down! Michael! Help!
Hello there.
Bert, what are you doing up here?
And well should a chimney sweep be? A chimney swept, a secret kept, up here above the gables. Another world to be unfurled, it ain't just myths and fables. Our chimney stack looks cold and black against the twilight sky. But never fear, there's warmth up here, perhaps you'll find out why.
What do I look like? That's better.
The world is awfully big, isn't it?
And what does that tell you?
That we are awfully small and unimportant?
Speak for yourself.
Not us so much, but our troubles. They seem so big down in the nursery, but up here...
That's more like it. Troubles are never so bad when you look at them from a little higher up. And always remember, there's plenty of folk ready to help, should you need them.
Who?
Ching chimney, chim chim cheree. Now guardian angels you don't often see. They're not highfalutin, nor grand, nor aloof. They're covered in soot and they're up on your roof.
Chim chimney, chim cheree.
See, it's true.
Brush away the dirt and sight.
wash away your tears.
Cobwebs that swept away.
Hang around for years.
We know letters of all ours. We can see from Mars. Our idea of heaven is a night out on the stars. We may look a mostly through smoke and stars, smudged with tar and grime. When we need a hand, we try to step in just in time.
We will step in.
Step in time.
We will step in.
Step in time.
Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. We will step in time. Over the rooftop, step in time. Over the rooftop, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Over the rooftop, step in time. Watch your step, but step in time. Watch your step, but step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Watch your step, but step in time. Take your knees up, step in time. Take your knees up, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Take your knees up, step in time.
Childhood is a step in time, parenthood's the same.
Never miss a chance to get it right. Don't deem a perfect crime, don't deem a shame. When the steps aren't going as smoothly as they might. That's the step in time. That's the step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. That's the step in time. Here we go.
Spin, 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 spin. Link your elbow, step in time. Link your elbow, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Link your elbow, step in time. Link your elbow, step in time. Step in time, step in time. Here we go. Your turn.
go. Over the rooftops.
Over the rooftops. Over the rooftops. Over the rooftops. Over the rooftops. Over the rooftops, step in time. Over the rooftops, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme.
Over the rooftop, step in time.
Your elbow, step in time. Your elbow, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Take your elbow, step in time. Kick your knees up, step in time. Kick your knees up, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Kick your knees up, step in time. Oh, step in time. Step in time. Step. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Kick your knees up, kick your knees up, kick your knees up, kick your knees up. Step, 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 step. Never need a reason, you step in time.
What you gonna do?
Step in time.
Shout it louder.
Step in time. Step, 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 step.
Down the chimney.
Down the chimney, step in time. Down the chimney, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Down the chimney, step
Back to the
in time.
nursery.
Back to the nursery, step in time. Back to the nursery, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Back to the nursery, step in time.
What is this? What's all this?
Special delivery for George Price, Esquire.
Special delivery.
Special delivery, step in time. Special delivery, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Special delivery, step in time.
Time to go. Good night, Governor.
Good night, Governor, step in time. Good night, Governor, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Good night, Governor, step in time.
Good night, Governor.
Cheerio, Governor!
Oh,
Night,
not
Governor.
so fast. Upstairs now. And Jane, you too. Mary Poppins, would you be good enough to explain?
First of all, I'd like to make one thing clear.
Yes?
I never explain anything.
It's happened. The chairman wants to see me at the close of business tonight.
Tonight? Well, I'm going to come with you and jolly well give your chairman a piece of my mind.
No, that would only make matters worse. We might as well face it. In just a few hours, I will have joined the ranks of the unemployed.
George, are you quite sure?
Quite sure indeed. So we'd better start making some plans. In fact, I'm afraid the time has come.
Do you mean your mother's vase? Won't you miss it terribly?
Needs must, my dear. We've always said we were saving it for a rainy day. And tomorrow, it looks set to pour.
George, do be careful. Mrs. Brill, you better come with me. You might want to sit down.
Mrs. Brill, is the dinner cooking?
Don't you start! I've opened all the windows!
I was just going to say, that it smells delicious.
The whole world's gone upside down.
I never. So that's where I put them.
What are they?
Stars. Gingerbread stars I hid once from my nanny. I always knew I had put them somewhere no one would find them. Trouble was, I couldn't find them either.
They're very bright.
Aren't they? Even after all this time.
Here, let me give you a hand.
You know, I used to dream that when I grew up, I'd learn everything there was to know about the stars. It's funny. I haven't thought about all that in years.
It's good to look back sometimes.
Is it really? I'm not so sure. A man has dreams of walking with giants to carve his niche in the edifice of time. Before the mortar of his zeal has the chance to congeal, the cup is dashed from his lips, the flame is snuffed or burning. He's brought to rack and ruin in his prime.
Life's a ram go, Governor. And that's the truth.
You know what I think? It's Mary Poppins. From the moment she set foot in this house, things began to happen to me. My world was calm, well-ordered, exemplary. Then came this person with chaos in her wake. And now my life's ambitions go in one fell blow. It's quite a bitter pill to take. Oh, it's that Poppins woman. She's responsible for all of this.
I know the very person. What's that thing she's always saying? A spoonful of sugar, that is all it takes. It changes bread and water into tea and cakes. A spoonful of sugar goes a long, long way. So have yourself an healthy helping every day.
A healthy helping of trouble, if you ask me.
Like you say, Governor. You've got to grind, grind, grind at that grindstone. Though childhood slips like sand through a sieve. And all too soon they've up and grown, and then they've flown. And it's too late for you to give just that spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. The medicine go down. Medicine go down. Well, good luck, Governor.
Thank you, Bert. And good luck to you too.
Father,
What is it?
we've come to say goodnight.
Oh, good night.
Daddy, do you remember when we came to visit you at the bank?
I do.
Well, we were each given a sixpence, and we were told to spend them carefully.
Excellent advice. Exactly what you should do. So what have you bought with them?
Nothing yet. We've kept them. And now we've decided to give them to you.
I suppose Mary Poppins has put you up to this.
No, she hasn't said a word about it. But we know things have been difficult for you lately, and we haven't exactly been of much help.
So, we thought a little bit of extra cash might help loosen things up a little.
It's a whole shilling.
Thank you.
Good night, Daddy. We do love you, you know.
Jane, do you remember? You once asked me who Neelise's father was.
Yes?
Well, it was Poseidon, king of the sea. Good night.
Mummy, Daddy's really worried, isn't he?
Yes, he is. But always remember that he loves you both very much, and that's far more important than jobs or houses or anything else.
Are you going to the bank with him?
I wish he'd let me, but he won't. If only there was someone to take his part, to stand up for him, to show them what he's really like inside.
Why can't he do that for himself?
Because he's a man, and a very proud one.
Then you have to go.
I'd like to go, but I'm afraid it just isn't possible.
But why not?
Because I'm a woman.
Mary Poppins says anything is possible if we can only get out of our own way.
Do you really believe that, Mary Poppins?
Anything can happen if you let it. Sometimes things are difficult, but you can bet it doesn't have to be so.
Changes can be made.
You can move a mountain if you use a larger spade.
Anything can happen, it's a marvel.
You can be a butterfly
or just a larval. Stretch your mind beyond fantastic. Dreams are made of strong elastic.
Take some sound advice and don't forget it.
Anything can happen if you let it.
I wonder. Anything can happen if you let it. You won't know a challenge until you've met it.
No one does it for you.
No one but yourself. Vacillating violets get left up on the shelf. Anything can happen, just imagine.
That should be my epitaph. I wear the pageant, honor of this world's free thinkers.
Those who see beyond their blinkers.
Jelly isn't jelly till you set it.
Anything can happen if you let it.
If you reach for the stars, all you get are the stars. But we found a whole new spin. If you reach for the heavens, you get the stars.
Sir, only tuppence a bag.
I would take it as a great favor if you kindly fed them for me.
Tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag.
Precision and order, paying one's debts, risking our investments, hedging our bets. Come in, Banks. Trading in futures, jobs on the line. Well, Banks, how did it happen? You turned down a scheme that was bound to make millions, and we want to know why.
Then I'll tell you. I refused Von Hustler's scheme because it was hollow. It had no product. It had no substance. It had no meaning outside the walls of a bank. And yes, he told me about the profits and the assets and the growth. But there was not a word about people. Now I know as far as you're concerned, if a man puts any value on real life, then he's a washout. But I'm afraid I do value it, gentlemen. In short, George Banks Esquire has rediscovered the human race. So I apologize for ruining the bank. But I do not apologize for realizing that there are more important things in life than making money.
Ruining the bank. Ruining the bank. Ruining the bank? My dear chap, what are you talking about? You've saved our bacon. Haven't you heard? Von Hustler's scheme has ruined our rival. You've kept us out of the nastiest scandal since records began. We don't want your apologies, we're offering ours.
Oh my word.
And another thing, do you remember giving a loan to a fellow called Northbrook? Well, he's repaying it and opening 2 new factories. With the percentage you negotiated, we're set to make a fortune.
Oh my word.
Well, that's just it. We'd like it if you told us how you did it. Just give us the word. It'll be quite safe with us.
Give you the word. Give you the word. Oh, I'll give you the word, all right. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious, if you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Oh, thank you, sir.
Now, Banks.
Forgive him. It's not his fault. It's all because of his nanny, Miss Andrew.
The Holy Terror! She taught me everything I know!
And now's your chance to forget it.
And if you want to fight about it, then you've come to the right woman.
Oh, no, Winifred, darling. It's all right. I haven't lost the bank money at all. I've made the bank a fortune.
Really?
Gentlemen, madam, if you please, we still have some business to attend to. Well, Banks, George, by way of recompense, we'd like to offer you the position of senior manager with a salary at double...
Exactly how much has he made for you?
Triple... quadruple your present rate.
Close your mouth, George. We are not a codfish.
Well?
I accept, but you must understand one thing. From now on, my family comes first.
Agreed?
Winifred, it seems I've underestimated you. How can you forgive me?
How can you ask?
It was wrong of me to keep you from the stage. You'll want to return, and I won't mind if you do.
No, I loved it, but I found a role that I much rather prefer, and it's going to keep me extremely busy for a very long time.
Anything can happen, raise the curtain. Things you thought impossible will soon seem certain. Though at first it may sound clownish, see the world more upside downish.
Turn it on its head, then pirouette it. Anything can happen if you let it.
If you reach for the stars, all you get are the stars. But we found a whole new speed. If you reach for the heavens, you get the stars through.
Get the stars
I wonder you don't ask for the moon as well.
Once you started living life, you just can't get enough. Anything can happen, it's official. If the truth is simple or the superficial, sally forth the way we're steering. Obstacles start disappearing. Go on, chase your dreams, you won't regret it. Anything can happen, anything can happen.
Mary Poppins, Neleus and Poseidon will live happily ever after, won't they?
Of course.
Oh, Mary Poppins, that is the best yet. To be up in the heavens. Do you think we'll ever go back there again?
Yes, someday.
Really? Will it be soon?
Oh no, not for a very long time. You can always keep an eye on the stars until you return. Here.
But it's your telescope.
So it is. Keep it if you like. It's a gift.
Thank you.
Now, run along in.
I love you, Mary Poppins.
You are a fine boy, Michael Banks. And one day you will be a fine man.
Now, Mary Poppins, it makes me so anxious when you talk like that.
Like what?
Oh, gentle and kind and not a bit like yourself. Be cross, Mary Poppins, do be cross again.
Is this the thanks I get for the trouble I've taken?
That's better.
That's dainty, Bert.
I painted them for you. It's night, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, goodbye then, Mary.
Goodbye, Bert. Look after yourself. With every job when it's complete, there is a sense of bittersweet. That moment when you know the task is done. Though in your heart you'd like to stay, to help them on their way, you always know they must do it alone. There, practically perfect, and I hope it remains so.
What's happened? Something's changed. The bed's gone.
Look, it's Mary Poppins' locket. Oh, the chain's broken.
Don't you remember? I'll stay till the chain breaks.
There's a note, too. Michael had the telescope, so this is for you. It's a picture of the three of us.
Look, she signed it. From Mary Poppins, with a good deal of love.
Mary Poppins?
She's gone.
Gone? How peculiar.
She'll be back. Now, what do you think of this?
It's the best I've ever seen!
Could we fly it together?
No, Daddy!
Mary Poppins won't be coming back. She's gone forever.
My dear, how could you possibly know such a thing?
Because we don't need her. Not anymore, anyway. And other families will. Isn't that right, Daddy?
They will.
I wonder if she's right, George. Maybe we could do without a nanny from now on. What do you think?
I think you'd better come dance with me.
George, this is serious.
Look! Wasn't that a shooting star?
You can borrow my telescope!
I was right. Wish on it, children. My dearest love.
We'll never forget you, Mary Poppins.
Never forget!